Hello, well, good evening, guys. Everyone can hear me. Just quickly write your confirmation in the chat box. Well, we are going to start up with the Python and its implementation in the data science. Okay. Python, in simple words, is a high-level dynamic programming language which is interpreted, right? So, this programming language was discovered by Sir Van Rossum. Okay. And in today's agenda, we'll be going up with what is Python, why it is popular. We'll see the features of the Python, where it is used in the industries, who uses this, and their learning paths, and what are the career opportunities in the Python. Cool. So what is Python? If we just again just define this, so it is a high-level dynamic programming language which is interpreted, right? So there is a difference between these compilers and interpreter. We are not going much in all those things, okay? So this was created by Van Rossum sir in 1989, right? So there are a lot of things in the Python which make it very popular, right? So it is like one of my favorite language too, okay? So there are a much of features which make it very complex and very simple to, you can say. There are a lot of complexities and there are a lot of simplicities, okay? So Python is a language preferred by the beginners and the programmers, okay? So as like the professionals, you can say. So it is an open source language which makes it very free to everyone. You can say it has flaws, right? That is also, it's a good point. And Python can be used in any of the desktop, where mobile application you want to use, like, and it is very much user defined, okay? It has a good community where you can explore all the libraries which can help you to build a lot of things, which can help you to go in different sectors, like for the statistics, like for the machine learning parts, AI, data science, and there are a lot of things, web development, and all those things, okay? Fine. So we'll see what are the features of Python, okay? So we'll quickly just put it down there. So the first very feature of the Python is simplicity, okay? Where we think less of the syntax of the language and we go for more of the codes, okay? Fine. The next feature, if we come, is the open. That is, as I say, it's always FLOSS. That is an free source open software, okay? So open source is like a powerful language, you can say, okay? It's a powerful language and it's free to everyone to use as it's needed, okay? Next we come up with the portability, right? So Python code can be shared and in any type of, you can say, extension, like you want to convert your file in JSON, like you want to convert in HTML or in CSV format, in Excel format, any formats, right? So that is very portable, right? Next we coming at the embedded and extensibles, okay? So Python can have snippets of other languages inside it to perform a certain functions which we can describe in the embedded and extensibles. Similarly, we have interpreted, and we all know, right, that this is interpreted language, okay? So being interpreted is like the worst of the large memory tasks and other heavy CPU tasks that are taken care by the Python itself, having not to worry you for the about like you only need to focus on the coding area, right? So next we come up with the huge library section. So huge amount of libraries are there in the Python which you can explore, right? And mostly you can use these things in the machine learning, in the data science, in the AI fields, and a lot of things are there, right? So till now, whatever we have seen as a sum up, if we combine of the things, and also let's see the last one also, the object oriented. Okay, So object oriented is like this object helps breaking down complex real life problems, right? So when you work with OOPs, okay, when you work with these things, so like you break down your complex real life problems into such a way that it can be coded and used to obtain some basic solutions. You used to obtain some solutions with this, right? To sum it up, we'll say that Python is a simple syntax language which is readable and has a great community support, right? Okay, we'll go next. So we'll try to see that what are the companies, who are the companies who are using this Python, right? So well, the very first thing, very important company and very topmost company, that is Google, right? So it uses for their better search results. Like whenever you go on the Google and whenever you search for the things like any of the topic, you get some several millions of results in some microseconds, right? So very microseconds you get some results over there. So that is like for the better search results you get up there. Okay. Next. So Dropbox uses this for their server and client applications as for the coded with the Pythons. Okay. Now we all know about this Netflix. Many of you might be having accounts over there, right? So what exactly happens? Like when you make a Netflix account, what it says you to at least choose 3 of your own interest movies, right? So you choose some 3 of the topics or the movies what you have interest, right? So based on your interest, what it does, it creates some you can say groups, or it creates some clusters, which is one of the topic we read in machine learning called as clustering. Okay, that is a category of a learning, that is an unsupervised learning category. Okay, fine. So Netflix uses this as a machine learning concept to cluster user-based interest and then show you a lot of things as per as your interest. Okay, that is being done by the most of the websites, like for the Amazon, any e-commerce websites and such things, right? Okay. Next we have cyber security, NSA, right? So National Security Agency. These uses for their encryption and decryption of the codes with the use of Python. Okay. Next we have BitTorrent. And now whenever you download something from the BitTorrent, you might have seen that it gets downloaded in very peer-to-peer, right? It has a lot of files which are being downloaded over there. So this transfer of files between peer-to-peer started as a normal Python file. Okay, this starts as a normal Python file. Okay, cool. So the next one is the NASA, right? So these use the, you can say these are actually using libraries like for the NumPy we'll be reading on. The SIMP will be going on with that also. Okay, so these uses this libraries to perform some scientific calculations. Okay, so like these are the companies, these are some of the sort of the big companies which uses this. Okay, fine. So what should be the learning path? From where to start up with the Python basics and where to go? So our agenda of this total workshop is to understand the Python basics and then to apply it in the data science part. Okay, so like today we'll be covering about all the things for the Python basics. Like we'll be going about the variables, we'll be going the data types and the operators. We'll be seeing the arrays, their flow controls, the methods, and the file handling things, and the practice sessions too. Okay, so like in your Telegram group, you'll be getting your questions to practice on to, right? You'll be getting assignments, questions, and a lot of things every hour, every day. You will be getting on there some questions to solve on, right? Fine. So we'll be starting up now. We'll see what are the career opportunities in Python you get, right? So there are a lot of careers in Python you can make it. And the most important competitor of this Python language is Java. As you can see the graph over there with the Python and the Java. So you can just communicate and you can just differentiate within things. Okay, fine. So there are some job roles, there are some job profiles over there. Okay, so we'll see one by one. Okay, so if we see the job trends, if we see the Python developer job trends, so Python has topped the list with 28.73% in the last year also. Last 5 years, and currently with it's holding in the first position, right, according to the source of the people, right? So that is the chart you can see, right, in the 2020 we're having. Okay, well, cool. Next, so as I said, like in the job profiles, so what does the Python developer get exactly a salary around? You can say an average salary around. Okay, so what to get there about, how to get up things over there, right? So a Python developer earns around rupees 500k in India, right? If we talk about for the India, we get almost around 501K. That is a huge one, right? And in the USA, it's comparatively around to $89, right? That is also huge. And see, this experience, or you can say this classification on this money factors, right? The salary factors depends mostly on various factors actually, like what are the experience you are having, what are the skills you are having, right? So that is what actually a company sees. So based on the experience, if you are having an experience of 2 to 4 years, you are going to get a salary around a 500K plus, right? If you're having a experience of more than 4 years in the Python sector, then you will be obviously getting something around 1 million plus, right? So that is like the things you will be getting in the experience level. Okay. So the more the experience, the more the salary, right? That is, you can say experience by pay, right? That is, okay. If we see the chart with this India and this USA, so we'll find that this in India we have the city Gurgaon, which having an average salary of most the Python developers, right? So that is also a very good task, right? And in the USA, we see California posting around 1900 plus job profiles every month for their Python developer, right? And every job profile gets a salary around 122K. Right? That's also important, right? Okay, we'll go on. So as I said, like on the basis of the experience, it matters. Similarly, on the basis of the location, you can see the salary ranges. The salary varies over there on the basis of the locations too. And the third part, which is very important in the Python sectors for getting the pay scales, is the skill set, right? So what are the skill set you are having, like with the advancement, if you know the Python? What else you know with this Python? How and where you can apply these Python things to get up your skills increased, right? So like if you're having a good knowledge in AWS, Django, or machine learning, JavaScript, any such things over there, like, so you'll be getting some advancement, right? That is also an important part. Okay. So we'll quickly try to understand things up. Okay. So I'll come to my Jupyter notebook. Okay. So as instructed, you might have installed these Jupyter and all these Anaconda. So if anyone is not having this Jupyter, as I said, what you guys can do is, just hold on. Yeah. So if anyone is not having, what you guys can do, you can directly go to the Google Colab and you can also work out there, right? So this is just an interface where we'll be working on, right? So as I said, this Python is interpreter. What is actually means that, right? So we mean to say that this interpreter, what is an interpreter? If we just go and define this interpreter, so what we'll say that interpreter is a computer program that directly executes, or you can say that it performs instructions written in your programming or scripting language, right? And it does these things without requiring them to previously have been compiled into a ML, or you can say a machine language program, right? So that is like what is the use of interpreter, right? So this interpreter is a program that we need to run on the Python codes or the scripts. Okay. So Python installation and these things are very easy for you guys, right? So I believe that you might have done all these things for the Mac users, for the Linux and the Windows. You might have done all those things. All right. So we'll quickly start up with the things over there. Okay. So this is Jupyter Notebook on where we'll be working on. So this is a powerful way, this interface we are seeing, okay, this platform what you are seeing is a local host, and this is a powerful way to write and iterate on your Python codes and data analysis, what we'll be doing in the upcoming 3 days, okay. So this is built up with the IPython and the kernel, okay, that is why it's named as the Jupyter, and if you see the file extension of these things, it will be IPNYB, okay, fine. So we'll start. And meanwhile, guys, if you have any of the queries, you will write quickly in your chat boxes, right? Okay. So we'll start now. So like first of the thing, we'll rename this writes. All right. So we will first of all start with the keywords. Okay. So we'll go in with the keywords over there. So what are keywords? Keywords are nothing, guys. These are the very simple names and you can say very special names that are already present in the Python. And we can use these keywords for specific functionalities while writing a Python program. Okay. So how many keywords are there? How to see all those things? Okay. So you have a code section. You can go with the codes too. If you don't want the codes, you have some other options too, right? Okay. So if you just browse over the things, you will get to see. Okay. Okay, Sidhesh is asking, can we use different IDE? Yes, Sidhesh, you can use that. Akshay is asking, doesn't Python program get compiled at all? No, it gets interpreted. Anishishti Venkatesh, difference between compiler and interpreter. See guys, compiler and interpreter difference is that whenever you write some codes, let's say we are writing, let's say this is line 1, this is line 2, this is line 3, okay. So whenever you write the lines, when you write your codes, let's say you have written, you are making a website, okay. It's one you are making a website and you are taking 150, 200 pages of codes, right? And you get some errors over there, right? So what is the difference? What is the what exactly is the problem there, right? If you get a error in the compiler program, right? If you get a error in the compiler language, what happens? You'll not get to see, right, where is the error, right? You have to go through all the 150 pages and we'll work out where is your error, right? And you made that error, right? You don't unknowingly, right? So unknowingly you might get you can say make one more error, right? So that can be a big issue with that. And if you go with the very basic comparison, compiler will be converting your codes into machine language all at once, okay? And this interpreter will be will be interpreting your codes just by line, okay? So interpreter, you can say, converts your code in the machine language every line by line, and in compiler it is done all at once, okay? Python case sensitive? Yes, Aman, it's case sensitive. Okay, so we'll start up quickly. Okay, fine. So Python keywords are, as I say, the special names that are already present in the Python. So we use these things to get some specific functionalities for writing a Python program. Okay, so let's say first we'll go to see up with the codes. Okay, so there as a module, there is a library of the keywords. What you have to do is you have to import that. Import the keyword. Okay, so let me zoom it so that you guys can see it clearly. So everyone can see the screens, right? I believe everyone you can see. Okay, so right, this is import keyword. Okay, and then you want actually the list of the keywords that are in Python, right? So that is very basic. You'll be writing on keyword dot kw list. Okay, this will print you all the list of keywords which are having in the Python. Okay, this will print all the keywords which are having in the Python. So let's run this, and as you can see, this is the output one what I have generated. So we see this false, none, true, and a lot of things are there, right? That is a list of keywords what I'm getting over there. If you can see. Fine. Right. So not going with these steps, if we don't want to get this all a list of like in a vertical way we are getting this, right? If you don't want this like this, right? In a column manner, if we write in a, if you want this in a row manner, then what you should do is you will only have to write one more keyword with it, right? This is print, okay? That is function, you have to write print, and inside the parenthesis you'll have to write this one, keyword dot kw list, okay? Just run this and you will be getting the list in the horizontal wise, or you can say in the row wise category, right? That is a nice one. But let's say you want to see a table of all the keywords. You want to see a table of all the keywords, not in the rows and not in the distance, okay? Okay. So what we'll do is we'll write help and we'll write keywords. And as you can see, if I write this command, Okay, if I write this command, you can see the output generated is a list of Python keywords, and you can see like it is printing that enter any keyword to get more help, like false, none, and you can see a table of keywords over there, right, having rows and the column itself. Okay, so again I am repeating what are keywords for those who have joined now. So keywords are the special names that are already present in the Python, and you should not use this as a variables names, right? Okay, now going up. So this can be done, right? And now let's say if you want to check if anything is a keyword or not, you want to check these things, right? So how you will check it, guys? We'll write this keyword dot is keyword, and inside this string you'll be writing up your name, or you can say your whatever you want to check it, right? So let's say I just want to check it this whether this machine is a keyword or not. Okay, so we want to check this whether this machine is a keyword or not. Okay, so we'll run this and you will be getting a boolean result, a discrete result that is false. Okay, fine. So you have plotted this, all these things. So you have just printed this, all these things. Well, Shreya is asking keyword for plotting the graphs. So you have to use the library matplotlib or Seaborn. You can use that PLT. Okay, fine. So this is keyword, right? So there are a lot of things in the Python, like there are identifiers. So what are identifiers? These are used, or you can say these are the user-defined names that we use to represent variables, classes, functions, modules, and you can say a lot of things are there too. Okay. So identifiers are the user-defined names that we use to represent variables, right? So if we just write it, let us go and write this up. Identifiers. So this is like a user defined names that we use to represent variables. Let's say we are taking name is equals to things, right? And I'm saying my identifier to be name. Okay, this one, right? And we'll just run this. Okay, and if I just print out my identifier, run this, you'll be getting peaks over there, right? That is a good thing. Okay. Okay, we can see some questions over there. Why keyword is not a keyword? Because Udaya Kumar, you have written this keyword and you have written it like this, right? Keyword, right? And that is not a keyword actually. Why? Because this is not a keyword, right? Because you can see the list of the keywords you are having, right? Only these are the keywords what you are having in the Python, right? None of them other will not be a keyword over there. Okay. So if you go like why it is not a keyword, so it does not belong to this keyword family of the Python. Okay. I get a syntax error when I type identifiers the way you have written and press run. Okay, cool guys. See, someone is asking for the shortcuts of writing the headings. Fine guys. Okay. See, well, okay. Let me write the shortcuts there. Okay, if you want, like, you guys can work with the shortcuts, right? Because as you guys are learning in this IIT and you might not having some much of the times. So as we all work in this IT sectors, we always deal with a lot shortage of the time, right? So not going with every time on this code and selecting the headings out there. That is not a good work to do, right? So you have all the shortcuts. Okay, let me write the shortcuts. See guys, you press escape. Okay, press the escape. If you want line numbers, press escape and then press L. That will be the line numbers you will be getting in your code. Okay. And if you want to remove it, again press escape and then press L. It will be removed out. Okay. Now if you want heading out there, see guys, in heading what happens? For the heading you have to make your cell from the code. If you see this code is there is markdown, there is NB convert, there is heading over there, right? So if you want to make it a heading, you have to remove this from the code and you'll have to mark this for heading. So instead of going this here and doing this from there, so what you do is press escape and press M. that will be a markdown. Okay, you can see the difference that it has been changed from the code to markdown, right? So just change it to code again. And now if you want a heading, let's say you want a big heading, or you can say the main heading of the page. So press escape and then press 1. You'll be getting it there. Okay. Don't press if you are using a Windows over there. So don't press it from the num area. Okay. There is a num clock right in the right hand side of the keypad. Right. Don't use that section. Just use the 1, 2, 3, 4, 9 till the 0. Just use that before your tab, right? And the left hand side, the numbers you are having in the left hand side. So press escape and then press the numbers, right? If you want a main heading, press 1. If you want a subheading, you can press 2, and it can go up to 6. Okay, till 6 it can go, right? So it can make subheadings till the 6. Okay, that is like you want a heading over there. Okay, now let's just say that if you want like to make up in this, you can say, like if you want to make some notes, like you don't want to make it a heading, so you can quickly write escape and M. Okay, fine. If Jyoti is saying, can you repeat the function of identifiers? Sure, identifiers are the user-defined names that we use to represent the variables, or you can say the classes, the functions, the modules, and all those things. Okay. Someone is asking, where do these IPNB files get saved? It's saved in your, you can see the directory, right? You can see the directory where it is saving. Okay. Okay, next question is there. Why my identifier while initializing did not got output thieves while running first source code, and it did output the thieves in the second source code and coded? It's quite a big question. Quite kindly make it a short one so I can quickly get to it. Okay, fine. So, okay, now we're going on. Okay, so you can see like why identifier is storing something over there, right? So there are next topic is the Python codes. The way you wrote identifiers with the underscores. Okay, that and okay, fine. You want to repeat me the identifiers things? Okay, fine. See, I just wrote escape and M. Okay, listen carefully. That is escape plus M, not plus. Just press first escape and then press M. Okay, and then two underscores, and then write identifiers. Two underscores again, and then shift and run. Shift and enter. Okay, press shift and enter. Okay, will we come up to the Python comments? Okay. All right. Akshay is saying, I read somewhere that Python compiled files, but you say it's an interpreted. Okay. So in various book of Python programming, it is mentioned like Python is interpreted, like it is like half of the correct. If we just say interpreted, if it is half of the correct, actually see what happens. The Python program is first compiled and then interpreted. That is the if we say that is an interpreted language, but it is half correct because the Python, we can say this file or the codes we are writing in the Python is first compiled and then it is being interpreted. Okay. So the errors chances are totally removed. Okay. So the compilation part is hidden from the programmer. Thus many programmers believe that it is an interpreted language. I hope I must be clear to you. Okay. So this compilation part is done first when we execute our code, and this generates some byte codes, and internally these byte codes are converted in this Python virtual machine. That is an interpreted part. Okay. Fine. We'll go up with the Python comments. Now these Python comments, you can say comments are nothing in the Python. That is exactly a null statement, not a null statement. That is a worthless statement, right? We'll study this pass in the Python. We'll study this pass statement too. So that is exactly how this comment works. So programmer coherent statements are these which describe a block of codes. Okay. So these are useful when you want to make notes over there inside your code area. Now let's say this is I'm saying this x is equals to 10. Okay, and I want to make a note of that. Okay, I want to make a note of that. So how will I make? I'll give a hashtag there, right? A hashtag over there, and I'll write that 10 is stored in x. Okay, 10 is stored in x. And if I run this, you see, nothing happens, right? No output and nothing happens because I haven't printed this anything. So if I print x, I'll get 10 over there, right? Nothing else over, right? Because like this codes, or you can say this codes with a starting with a hashtag is nothing but a comment over there. So comments in Python is written as a line which will not execute, which will not get output. Okay, fine. All right. So moving up, right? So these are comments of our two types: single line comment and multi-line comments. So one, if it is a one-line comment, that is a single line comment, or you can say singular comment. If you have in mode, then one line comment. So more than one line comment is multi-line comments. Okay, fine. Next up with the Python variables. So Python variables, or let's say variables, are the reserve, nothing but the reserve memory locations to store some of the values. Like we have making this x, we are making this identifier, the name. These are nothing but the variables which store some values for you, right? So this means that when you create some variables, you reserve some of the spaces in your memory. Okay. So in Jupyter, when you are using this doc strings, we'll go with that too, right? So in this Jupyter, when you use this doc string, it is a code. It is a string type. So this is a doc string, right? In the Jupyter, it works like this. But if you work in very different IDE, and if you write this as the doc string, that works as a comment. There in some different IDEs, like in the PyCharm, you can say, or like in the IDE of the official IDE of this Python. But in many cases, if you write like this, it is a string. Okay, guys. So that is a difference. Fine, cool. So Python comments, I think you are clear to it. Okay, block of comments and all these things. Variables, you must be clear to variables too, right? So we'll quickly move up to the Python data types we are having. Okay, so how many data types are there in Python, and like what are the operators we are having in the Python? Okay, so first of all, we'll go up with these. So how many data types are there in the Python? So there is one, that is numeric. The another is the list. The third is your tuple. Fourth string. Set. Dictionary. Okay. So these are the things, or you can say these are the data types you are having in Python. Now what are data types? So Python supports a various data types. These data types, you can say, defines the operations possible on these variables and store the methods. Okay. So like you have seen, these are the 6 of the data types you are having. Okay. And there itself you have a lot of things. Okay, fine. So let's quickly make up this as a code. So let's make it to be Python data type, and these are the data types you have. Cool. So we will be going to quickly study one by one over the things, right? So we'll start up with the numeric type. Okay, like what is the numeric? So in the numeric section, we have 3 of the criteria. We have complex, we have integer, we have float, right? So let's say we'll start up with the numeric type. So D type is nothing but data type. Okay. So in the numeric type, there are three of the kinds. As I said, there are integer, there are float, and there are complex types. Okay. Fine. So what are integers? If we go to understand about the integers, so since the class 7 or class 8, you can say we are learning these integers and this decimals over there, right? The whole numbers, natural numbers, and all these things, right? So in the programming sectors, or let's say only in the Python, if we talk about only the Python, in Python, integers are the numbers, okay, which are not decimals or which are not in the fractional values. Or you can say any number in the Python, in any number which is not having any decimal values. Any number which is not having any decimal or the fractional values are integer. Okay. So if you say integer, so integer it will be like, let's say x is equals to 25, 34, or let's say we define many values at a time. So let's say x, y, z. Be 5, 10, and 15. Cool. So see, these numbers are without the decimal values or without the fractional values. So in any number which are without the fractional or the decimal values will be the integer type. Okay. Similarly, if a number is having a decimal values with it, that would be a float type, right? So for getting a float type, it is compulsory to have a decimal value. Okay. So let's say this to be P, Q, R. Let it be 5 point, 10 point, 15 point, right? So in any case, let's say if you are not writing R as 15 point, if you are taking R as it's at 15, that is not a float, right? Because it is not containing any decimal values. So let's say we do this, okay? Okay, this PQR is 5, 10, 15. This XYZ is 5, 10, 15. Cool. Next thing is your complex. So complex, right, you have read these things in class 11th, like this is a combination where you have some real parts and some imaginary numbers and the real numbers right there. Okay. So that is exactly a real number and an imaginary number combination, right? So when we talk about real number and imaginary number, that is exactly the iota and all those things, right? So let's say this to be Q, W, E, let's say only Q and W. So in complex numbers, there might be one real number and there must be one or you can say imaginary number, right? So if you don't write the imaginary number, that would be a problem, right? Because that would not be a complex number. You cannot write, you can miss the real part, that is not a big deal, but you can't miss the imaginary part, right? So if you are writing it as 23 and we are saying that this to be a complex number, that will be completely wrong. But if you write 23j, that is correct. Even if you don't write the real part, that is correct. Okay. So let's say 23j or let's say 6.5 plus 23j, like that. Okay. Let's run this. Okay, fine. So these are the integer, these are the floats, and these are things. Okay. Now to check the data types of these things. To check the data types, what we'll do, you will be using a function called as type. So write anything. Let's say write about this x. We are taking one from each of them. Let's say about this p, and let's say about this w. Run this. So we are getting integer, float, and the complex. All right. So this defines that x is an integer that is holding a value of 5. Okay. Now if you also want to see the addresses or the locations of this x, p, and q, what you can do is you can write id of x. You can see id of y. It's p, and you can go with the id of q. Run this, and you can see the IDs of them. That is the address of the locations, right there where they are stored. Okay. So someone is asking, would you share this Jupyter notebook? Yeah, you will get these things in your Telegram. Okay, in your groups over there. Where to access? You will get this, all those things can be used Q 2 times in the same code. Didn't get you, Monica, where you want to use it. Okay. Alright, so you are asking, I think you are asking that you are using for the Q for 2 times. So if you use this, you are saying for this, right? So if you see your Q, only having the value of 6.5 plus 23 there. That will be replaced by the previous one. So not better to use some different things over there. Okay. Cool. So now we'll come up to the different topic, right? These are the numeric type we are having. Similarly, there is one more type. Okay, that will be discussing in the last of the session. That is the random module, and that is very important. Okay, we'll discuss in the last of that. Now we'll be going in some of the different data types. That is, we'll be going in the strings part. Okay, we'll try to understand the strings. So what are strings? Strings are most of the popular data types in the Python, you can say, right? So we create these strings. We can create, or we can say we create this to mention some things which are not a numeric type, right? Which are not a numeric type. Okay. Alright. So strings, we can say we can write this simply. If we just define the strings, so these are the sentence or the block or the letters, you can say even. So these are written just in the quotes. You can say these are just written. We can simply write this by enclosing characters in the quotes. It can be a single quote or it can be even a double quote. So we can just write up the things inside this quotes. We can just enclose the characters we write inside this quotes are called as string. Okay. So Python treats single and double quotes in exactly the same fashion. Okay. So consider, like if I'm writing this, that S is equals to welcome to peace, right? Let's say if I'm writing this R to be Python. So just run this. And as I said, if you want to check up the data types, of these things, so write type of S, if you write type of R. So see, these are the str, that is string. Okay. So you guys are asking some questions over there. Let me see. So Akshay is asking, what does the ID of x means if p is equals to q equals 12, when y is ID of p is equals to ID of q. So see, ID functions returns a unique ID for every specified objects, right? Like in the objects in the Python, every object is having its own unique ID. Okay, this ID is assigned to the object when it is created, right? So it is the object's memory address actually, and it will be different for each time when you run the programs over there. So if you want to see, okay, let me write for the IDs particularly. Just take it for the IDs. Problem using single quotes. That is definition of identifier will override all the previous assignment. Here Q. Okay, I think I have solved these things, but still, let's say this is your X, and let's say there are several things over there. Let's say there are some names. Let's say this is Chris. Let's say this is me too. Let's say this is solid. Okay, so there are three of the names over there, right? And I'm taking this y as this ID of x. Okay, so ID functions returns a unique ID for a specified object, as I say. So all the objects in Python has its own unique ID. Okay, so this ID is assigned to the different objects when it is created. Okay, so let's say we have written the things. Okay, so except for some objects, it is a constant or it is a unique ID. Okay, cool. So, like, let's say you want to see your y, so that will be the ID, okay, which is having all these things. Okay. So let's say if you are writing that this is you want the ID of x of 0, so that would be different because this particular content would have some different location. We will study this indexing and all. Okay, we'll keep moving on the next part on the strings. Okay, so you can see like if we write up the things inside the single quotes or the double quotes, these are the strings. Okay, fine. So there are a lot of string methods in Python which we can help, which help actually a lot of contents, right? Which helps with a lot of contents with it. Okay, so let's say, okay, so we are going to deal with the string methods. So first of all, we'll try to understand the methods of the string. Okay, so we'll start up with the strip method. Okay, so there is a method called a strip. Okay, what it does, it removes the spaces when you write your string. When a string is having a lot of spaces in the front side or on the back side, or you can say in the starting and the ending side, and you want to remove the spaces from there, you can use strip. Let's say this is a string which is having a lot of spaces in the starting side and also in the ending side, right? And we want just to remove all these things. If we just print it, we can see this as a similar way, right? But if we want just to remove all the spaces from here, what we'll do is we'll use strip function, and this will remove the spaces. As you can see in the output, even if you write the spaces over there, you'll get with outcome without the spaces. If you can just zoom it there. Okay, fine. So similarly, there is one more function. Okay, before moving to this one, there's one more, very important one, that is len. Okay, that is len one. So len is such a function which will calculate, or which will give you a count of every particular character, including the spaces you are having in your code or in the variable or in the list and the tuple, everything. Right? So let's say we want to find the length of the string. Run this and you will get some 22 elements. Even if you are writing, if you see like this, you are having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the characters. But what about the spaces you have written, right? So that is calculating the whole spaces as well as your codes, right? Fine. So I'm asking, Navneeta is asking, what is the type of X? So type of X is the tuple. We'll be reading those. Fine. So now the next type we are going to read is count. So we'll have to quickly complete these things today, so we can move to data science part from tomorrow. So count is such a thing which will give you a count of every number of, you can say it will count the number of times of a character is repeated in the string. Okay. So let's say we are repeating that machine learning is the subset of artificial intelligence. You have written machine learning is a subset of artificial intelligence, and let's say you want to count the number of S being repeated inside this, or you want to count the number of A being repeated inside this. So we'll just write count, and then we'll write inside the parenthesis. Inside the parenthesis, we'll be writing on whatever you want to count. You want to count A. Okay, and run this. So you get there are 3 S over there, right? That's fine. Okay, so you can count the number of times a character is being repeated inside a string with the help of count function. Okay, so the next thing is the upper cases and the lower cases. And see you guys have questions. We'll discuss the questions in the end of the classes. Don't worry. The upper and the lower cases. Okay. Now, as the name you can see, like what will happen here, the cases, or you can say whatever you write will be converted in some upper cases and in some lower of the cases, right? So let's say want to convert in uppercase. Okay, you want to convert this in uppercase. So you can just simply write upper and you can run this. And you can see want to convert in uppercase has been printed with some upper cases. Alright? Okay. Even if we write this to be in lowercase and okay, yeah, and want to convert this into a lowercase. So this is a uppercase, right? And we want to convert this upper in the lowercase. And if we are only writing this as a lowercase, right? If we run this, we'll see a lowercase over there. Okay, that is the basic functionality of these functions, right? The upper cases and the lower cases. Okay, now we'll look up to this different things. That is your split. Now see guys, the split is having a very important function whenever you use these things, and this is the most important string method in the Python, right? Very important string method because this is used for a lot of contents. This is used for a lot of things you count on. You want to work with that. Let's suppose you are uploading something on a Google, or let's suppose you are just uploading something anywhere on the website, right? What you do whenever you upload, let's say you are filling a Google form, okay, and there is an option for upload. You upload your things over there, right? But what if it says like you have to only upload some specific files? Like let's say like you only want to upload PDF. You have been asked. Let's say you are uploading a resume over there, and you are uploading in the doc format. So it will raise an error to you. It will say to upload only the PDF format, right? So how these things happen? Right? What's the concept behind this? The basic things. Okay, so this is how it does. Let's say for that we'll be needing a input function there. How to take input from the user? So let's take, you want a file to be uploaded by the users. So we'll write it as input, okay, and we'll then enter the file name. There you actually get it options like to be upload. Okay, right to upload over there. And you will just run these things and you will see what will come inside there, right? Including your extension name, you will be running up these things, right? So let's say you are running this and you will get a prompt box inside there, and that will be like upload, and you will writing the things what you are uploading. So let's say you are uploading a resume and that is in the doc format. Okay, just hit enter over there, right? Now, the very important thing is whenever you take input from a user, every time it stores inside a string. Okay, so if you can see the type of this file, if you can then see the type of this file when you run this, you will see that this is a string over there. Okay, understood? So this is a string. Now, if you see what is file exactly having, so it is having resume.docx, that is docs format. That's nice. Okay. So let's say if you want to restrict the user, like to only use this PDF format, right? How we'll do that? Well, we'll see those things when we start learning the conditional statements. We'll see in that case. But for the technique, but for the idea what we use it, we'll define it here. Okay. So what you do is exactly when you take the input, you will say it to split into two parts. You will say to split into two parts. Now from where to split it, you will be deciding. So you want to split it from the dot, because after the dot there is an extension name over there. So you just run this file and just run this. So again you write your resume dot docx. Okay, just hit enter. Check the type of file. Now it is a list. It has been changed from the str to list, right? If you see a file, you will be having two elements out there, that is one resume and one doc, right? And we'll be using this concept to restrict the user. Okay, so we'll see it later on, right? So this split actually does, let's say you are writing A, E, I, O, U, and you want to split it this. So this split the individual strings, substrings in our own string in the list. Okay, so that is, you can see it like that. Okay, so the next thing is the index. What we do, the indexing, what we study on, right? Okay, so in indexing, what happens? Every character in this codes, every characters in this variables, or you can say in the codes, is having its own unique location, right? That location, you can say like, if we say like we have used this in the previous codes, x of 0, that is, right? So 0 is nothing but the starting element, right? So in a Python, what happens, everything starts from the 0. From the left hand side, if you go on counting for any of the things, let's say we are taking this as a string. Let's say this to be S, and let's say welcome to Python program. Okay, so this is S, which is having a length of 30 characters, right? Now, if we want to count up the things, if you want to just start up counting, if you want to see the index values of this thing, index is nothing but the positions and where these things are lying on. So if we say the S of 0, so we'll get this W over there. That is the starting thing, right? So indexing starts from the 0 and it goes till where it is, right? But if you see the starting things from the end of the side, right? If you see this S of -1, so that in that case it is an exclamatory mark over there, that is starting on the right hand side, right? So if you see the things on the right hand side, you will have to start from -1, and from the left hand side it should be started with 0. Okay, so you'll be using this concept. Let's say we want S of 5 to 6. So what happens here, you'll be getting a number from 5 to 5 itself, only one particular number, that is M, right? Because the last thing what you write, the 6, is nothing but the range. Okay, that is 5 to 6, we are taking the numbers starting from this 5 till the 6. Okay, and this 6 is nothing but the last one minus number. Okay, let me define you. So whenever you write a range of some numbers, whenever you take a range of some numbers over there, let's say from something n to m, so always you will get a number, always you will see numbers starting from n, and it will go till, or you can say it will go till m minus 1. Cool. So range of n to m will always be n to m minus 1. That is the basic concept, right? So if you take numbers from 5 to 6, it will be number from 5 to 5 itself. Okay, and from 5 to 5 itself, what is the number? What is the 5? That is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 is m. Okay, it is clearly seen that 5 is m itself. Okay, so that is how it works. But say that if you want S of 4 to 13, so it will be the number from 4 to 12, and you will be getting OME to 5. That is fine. Okay, moving up. So these are the things you can do in this string, right? Similarly, you have one of the most important method, that is format. So let's say this is your string 1, and you are saying this. Right? You have written this, right? And let's say you want to format this, some things over there. So let's say in the format, in those things, what should be written? Let's say hi, welcome to Python. Just run this and see your string 1. It will be hi, welcome to Python, right? So you can use this format method to individually enter the numbers, enter the strings over there, right? Okay, right. So moving up. So this you have seen, right, how these things works actually. Okay, till the string we have clearly things are, I think it should be clear to you, right? So now let's say that if you want to convert anything in any different type, right? We are having this 23 and 34 and you want to convert this into float. So you'll be just passing out the float over there in the first parenthesis and that will be 34.0. Similarly, you can take it on for the complex and all those things, right? So we are quickly moving to the list topic, right? So what are the lists in Python? We focus on the list types. What are the lists in Python? So you can consider the list as arrays in C, what you read, right? You might have read in the class 11th and 10th or might be 12th. It's a C language or C++ language, right? So, okay. So this list are as an arrays what we use in C. Okay. So list is nothing but where you can store some different data types of elements, right? Different elements of different kinds of data. Okay. So different data types element can be stored in a list, right? And you can say this as an heterogeneous, right? So list is a collection of heterogeneous data where the elements can be duplicated and these are mutable, right? So mutable in the sense you can say these can be edited, right? You can edit up the things, you can update up the things over there in the list, right? So we'll try to understand this list in a very cool way, right? So let's say it to be Python lists. So a list can contains numbers as well as characters, the words, anything, right? As I said, it's a heterogeneous. So it can contain up the things over there. But that should be defined over there. Okay? Cool. Now let's say, so for making a list, you should always start it with the square brackets. Okay. So let's say I'm making a list of some of the okay. So like some, let's say to take up some of the company's name or movies names. Okay. So let's say we are taking some companies names over there which are coming for internships in the colleges, right? So we can take it like that, right? So let's take it to be, we'll just say these are some of the, let's say IBM, say Google, say to be fine. We have list over there, right? So if you write the contents inside a square bracket and a lot of multiple, so you can take up the things so like that. Okay. So it's lagging actually due to some network issues actually. Okay. So it will be fine up these connectivity issues. Okay. That will be done fine. Cool. So like you will be having this list. Okay. Let's just make it some of the numbers. Even you can have some float over there, right? So you can make us some numbers of this. Okay, we have got some errors over there. All right. Okay. So like we can get this data, right? Now a list is containing a lot of contents. Okay. Having a lot of contents in the list. Well, I think I should stop streaming now because there's some network issues. So if we can, or like in the evening, let's see if we can do with that.